Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the latest edition of Terrace Talk. It's the big one. It's here. The nerves are starting to jangle a little bit now. It's only a couple of days on from that. For a couple of days now to go till the big game. Looking forward to it and delighted to be joined by our opponents, Ipswich Town, for this latest edition. Kally, how are you this evening?
Yeah, man. Thank you for the invite. Happy to be on. A bit nervous, I think, is a bit of an understatement. You know, derby games, form goes out the window. So it does become the heart v head type of thing. You know, we all think with our heart we're going to smash the other team, but then when we analyse it and when we watch the game, it's completely different. Certainly in December, you know, we were all, I think most of us, even most Norwich fans, I thought that was the time that we were going to finally get that win over yous. But your star boy, Mr. John Rowe, man, he turned up and he did the damage, unfortunately. So yeah, nervous.
Yeah. I think that's a similar feeling at Arancow Road at the moment. But I'm sure many Town fans will be more optimistic than maybe previous derbies. Your form so far this season and your league table position says it all. Top of the table going into this game. The mood must be really positive around Portman Road at the moment.
Yeah, you know, even last time we played you in the Championship, when we drew and then lost with I think Paul Lambert's best part as a Ipswich manager was that scuffle on the sideline. But, you know, night and day from where we are, not just as a team, but as a football club, heading in the right direction, got a fantastic ownership group. It's a good investment there. Mark Ashton's come in as CEO, really done well in terms of transfers. And, you know, in terms of the players we've got, if you look at the squad, most of the squad was assembled in League One. That with the combination of Kieran McKenna's, you know, coaching and tactics and his team, you know, we are just, you know, I keep thinking I'm going to wake up. And it's Fleetwood away tomorrow or something. But no, we are at the top of the Championship. Feels good to say that. We are top of the Championship. And if ever there's a time for the tide to turn, if ever there's a time now to beat Norwich, you know, this season is it. It was a missed opportunity in December. Hopefully. But there's just so much riding on it. So it's not just the derby bragging rights. It's now, you know, title, but and equally you guys are pushing for sixth. So both teams have got massive things to win, massive outcomes potentially out of it.
Yeah, you mentioned there kind of all the permutations around this game. Norwich trying to push for the top six, Ipswich, of course, trying to push for automatic promotion. Does it maybe feel like the biggest derby since maybe those playoff games in 2015? That was an opportunity to reach Wembley. Of course, Norwich got the better on that occasion. Norwich probably the better team at that point, but it feels like maybe the sort of levels now are much more similar. Ipswich, of course, having the better season. So is this the biggest one, would you say, in recent times?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think you can really top a playoff game. So, you know, that was, and to be honest, I'm ever the optimistic and all the rest of it. But even then, the difference in quality of squad, whereas now there's more belief. But, you know, the last couple of times we've played, there hasn't been a lot to play for. We're both potentially fighting for a chance to go to the Premier League. And, you know, we could be seeing more of each other next season in the Premier League.
Yeah, that would be great. A Premier League derby. It feels like that's been a lifetime ago. So that'd be good. You mentioned him there in a previous answer. Kieran McKenna, of course, appointed a couple of years back now. That the transformation at Portman Road has been quite miraculous from the days under Paul Lambert and Paul Cook and all these other characters that you've had previously. Describe the job he's done. I'd imagine he's a well-loved man.
Yeah, I mean, he just can't do no wrong. You know, there's you know, he's like a demigod, really. We've had some great managers as Ipswich Town fans in the you know previous years, be it your Sir Alf Robson, Ramsey and Robson, and then you know certainly when I started following Town, you had Burley. Royal was a great manager as well, and for me, he's in that category with Burley. And if he pulls this off, but especially in terms of how short time span he's had, you know, he's taken us. We're a mid-table League One team, so to put it into perspective. You know, a lot of people probably heard that we score a lot of goals. Before he joined, we couldn't hit a barn door. We went about 10 games without scoring a goal in the league. And now we just seem to score for fun. And there is that belief. Whereas, you know, before, be it under Lambert, even Cookie had the exciting thing, but he was more the transitional manager. But certainly Lambert, McCarthy, all the rest of it, and it's not a disrespect to the players that were there at the time, but the spirit didn't seem there. So if you went behind in the game, you thought, okay, it's kind of gone. Whereas, you know, as we saw on Monday and many times this season, 90 minutes in injury time, we can really turn things around.
Yeah, you mentioned that turnaround. Of course, a massive result for you guys on Monday there, late on against Southampton. 6 games to go. How do you think you're going to get on? Do you think automatic promotion is possible? As when you're sort of scoring late goals like that, it feels like the dream is very much alive.
Yeah, you think it's fate, kismet. Yeah, you believe that the stars are aligning and all the rest of it. But then there's always that negative kind of thing of we've had so much dross over the last 20 years that it's like, oh, it's Ipswich and this would be the most Ipswich thing to do or whatever. Almost like the leads falling apart. But then you've got the thing is the quality of the teams up there. There is no room for error. There is no margin at all. We have had we had a press conference today, and we are going to have a slightly weakened team on Saturday, which I think is going to have a massive impact on our playing style in terms of maybe optimism and all the rest of it as well from the fans. But yeah, it's just it's a good place to be as an Ipswich fan. I did think, and I've been on a few pods back in January, and even when we had a bit of a bad run, I did think that as long as we keep in touch with Leicester and Leeds, I thought top two is definitely there, and that's what we're doing. But I think even myself and other Ipswich fans didn't think we'd at the beginning of the season we'd be here. Top 6 was probably our highest ambitions.
Yeah, who's maybe the star man to look out for on Saturday? I know Ipswich are kind of a team almost, and there's 11 players there that fight for each other. I think probably the left back, Leif Davis, is getting a lot of plaudits, and deservedly so. The assist tally, I think, is 16 now for the campaign. The goal he scored on Monday, another really good finish. Is he someone, or is there sort of someone else in the camp that Norwich fans should be aware of?
I mean, to be honest, I think everyone's there. So it is that they all fight together. So yes, like you said, Leif Davis quality. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say he's the best left back outside the Premier League, and I think he should be going to certainly a World Cup soon. So maybe he might be on that flight to America in a couple of years. But he's good, but he gets forward. But the good thing with him is his defensive side as well. But on the flip side, you see that we do push quite high, which leaves a bit of space at the back. I think our in terms of generals, I think our midfield general, Mr. Sammy Morsey, our captain, arguably player of the season already. He's the guy. He drives the team. A lot of the reason that we get those goals is because in those dying minutes is because he's pushing the team forward and all the rest of it. So he's been a fantastic player since he's signed and real difference. And he just looks like he can always play at a higher level. So he's one. I think Davis and then Amari Hutchinson, got him on loan from Chelsea. We call him our own star boy. But this is his first season at men's football, and the performance he's putting in, not just to get him forward and goals and stuff like that, but the defensive side as well, which I think, seeing how you guys play at home as well is going to be massive. So I think those three are the kind of three that if I was a Norwich fan, I'd be looking out for.
Yeah, you're expecting a different game maybe to that of the reverse game at Portman Road. On that sort of day, Norwich will bang out of form. They're away from home, and their away record is pretty poor. Ipswich's home record at that point, and that still is the case now, very, very strong. Carrow Road, different kind of place, the positive feeling around the place, that the results, 7 straight wins. Are you sort of heading into this game maybe slightly more or less optimistic than maybe you were at the Portman Road game in terms of getting the result?
Yeah, absolutely. In December, I thought we'd get you 3-0 or something. I thought, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but I think it was just, like you said, your form was so bad. You weren't united as a club really as well. I guess you had Stuart Webber, you had obviously your gaffer and the fans and all the rest of it. So, it wasn't, if anything, it looked like a great time to kind of, get a game in and get a win. But obviously that wasn't the case. Now, but the problem is at home and away, like Norwich, we're a different team. So at home, we attack more, which leaves space behind. Away, we're very much, a solid defensive team. Blackburn on Friday, we got a 1-0 win. Bit of a scrappy, bit of an ugly game, but we got the goal. We kept it tight at the back. So we don't really attack as much as we'd like. That worries me slightly because the talent you have, and Josh Sargent is, I think, probably one of the best at this level, maybe can play higher. He's going to have, a few opportunities, I feel. But I just feel we've got people like Cameron Burgess is another player. And I said on my vlog the other day that I think he's probably the best in the air in the league. Like defensive, balls have floated in. Like, it's not going to be closer and stuff like that. These balls are going to get defended and cleared, hopefully. So, just it's a different game, and you're a different beast at home. We're a different team away. I just think it's going to be one of those where it might be like a 1-0 or a 2-1. It's going to be a single goal that's going to decide it, I think.
We've mentioned it a few times, injuries at both sides. You've got Kiefer Moore potentially available, but looks like he's going to miss out. Of course, George Hurst not available. Burns not available, who of course scored in the reverse game. Do you think that's going to impact Ipswich? It feels like your squad depth is really strong. I kind of watched the last parts of the game there the other night. The players you're bringing off the bench, Saramento, of course, got the winner. Those kind of players. Do you think it's going to affect you coming down to Carrow, those players out?
I mean, it will affect us, obviously, because these are... We don't. Yes, you have your kind of first 11, so to speak, but it's with us. It's not about the first 11 that starts the game, especially with the 5 sub rule. McKenna really makes use of that, so we do make use of the squad depth. The squad depth is obviously a lot better since the January transfer window. However, like I said, Kiefer Moore's we've had the press conference today, and it looks like he's going to be out. So he had a back spasm, I think, or a muscle strain or something in his back, so he's more or less ruled out, or certainly won't be starting. And obviously Hurst has been out for a while, so we've kind of worked with that. Burns, we're actually quite blessed to have the depth on the wing with people like Hutchinson, Broadhead, Sarmiento. You've also got Jackson and Harness who can play out there. So there is options. But it's that Kiefer Moore. Now, we signed in January Moore and also a player called Ali Al-Hamadi from Wimbledon. And he's coming a bit of a cult hero, but he's a bit raw, he's a bit rusty. And, 2 months ago, a couple of months ago, he was playing League Two. So there's a lot of expectations. And he's a different type of player. Kiefer Moore, obviously, aside from, his massive presence, he's going to have a good battle with your centre-backs. I think with Ali Al-Hamadi, I think it's going to be more off-the-shoulder type play and all the rest of it from there. So it's going to be different. I am that, until Moore's injury was announced, I was more confident, and I think that's kind of hit us back, because if Ali's not doing it, we don't really have another option off the bench to play striker. Now we are up front down to our bare bones.
Yeah, before I get your thoughts on the game and a score prediction, what have you made of Norwich so far this season? I know obviously there's the bias and the hatred between us, but just sort of, have you seen much of us on the TV and sort of the turnaround that David Wagner's had? Did you see that kind of being a possibility in that Portman Road game where Norwich fans maybe wanted him out, and it feels like that managers don't really come back from that, but he's turned it around. We're in and around the top 6 hunt. Have you seen much of Norwich apart from that game at Portman Road this season?
Yeah, I've seen a few. You always keep life on the telly. I also so I'm quite fond of one of your players, Danny Bart, who you signed in the summer window, like deadline day, I think it was. And obviously he was player of the year at Sunderland. And he's a leader, so he adds a bit to your dressing room, I guess. He hasn't played a lot, and he's obviously been off the bench and all the rest of it. But in terms of your team, like I said, for me, I think John Rowe and Josh Sargent are quality players, standout players for me. So Sarah, he's a good player as well. I think he's got some great stats this season. But when we played you in December, I honestly didn't see Wagner get into Christmas. I thought he's gone. He has to go. And then, I don't know, I think maybe what was Webber's role? Director of football?
Yeah, sporting director. Yeah, he departs.
Sporting director. So I think the fact he was in charge and the change of role there, I think that kind of saved his role, or extended it. I don't know what he's done, but he has turned it around, because you're getting results. You're good at home. Now, obviously, it looks like you're a bit more united. I can't remember what game it was. He was on the telly, and he was playing at home. But you had the whole, your stand was basically sold out. Your stadium was sold out. People were singing and all the rest of it. So you're a bit more united as a fan base. So you seem night and day, and you think that that's because they've sacked a manager and got a new manager in, but it's the same manager. So I don't know what's changed, but something's changed, whether it's a switch that's been flicked or whatever. But and I think maybe the experience, like I said, with Danny, and also you've got, is it Ashley Barnes as well?
Yeah, Barnes,
that experience, especially at this time of the season, is going to be crucial.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be key. Before I get your score prediction, what does the derby mean to you? Is there maybe a moment that sticks out to you as well as an Ipswich fan that you sort of look back and think that's kind of a really good memory from your sort of time supporting town?
Yeah, so I'm a bit old, so I'm 36, so I have seen us beat you a few times. Aside from what we call Derby Day Destruction, Alex Matthew, that's when I was following Town, really started following Town. That's probably like my first or second season. But I think just for the shithousery, just for the housery or whatever, it's got to be the Derby Day Danny Haynes goal at Carrow Road with the handball. I think that really sticks out. But then other than that, the last 15 years, it's been miserable, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've certainly had the upper hand. With that, how do you see the game going on Saturday? Say both sides got lots to play for. It feels like you could maybe disrupt one or the other's season and of course, their aspirations and their aims. Score prediction from you.
Yeah, I think as long as the occasion doesn't get to the team, because I think by contrast, we've got quite a younger team. We have got a few leaders there as well. But as long as the occasion doesn't get to those younger players, I'm feeling just the way the season is and just thinking that maybe all the stars are aligned. I think we're going to nick it. I think we'll concede. So I'm either going to go for another 3-2 or let's go for a 2-1. I think it'll be a 2-1 Town win.
Yeah, I can see goals as well. And just finally, do you want to plug your YouTube, Kally? I know they've kind of started up a channel, some really good vlogs. I was watching a few of them earlier on today. So just want to plug where Norwich and Town fans can find the content.
Yeah, if you just search Kally Bisla or if my Twitter's below. So if you click that, it'll be in my bio there. We just launched it in December. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers there. And I do try and be fair on my analysis. It's not always, that's why I don't put it out straight away. It's probably like the next day. So I try not to do it with my blue tinted glasses as much as we try not to. But yeah, if you like the content, please do subscribe as well.
There we go. We'll link that down below. Of course, go and check Kally's stuff out. Big game on Saturday. Huge game, of course. Such a historical reason behind it in terms of what it means for both sides. Norwich hoping to extend their 15 years of dominance. Town hoping to, of course, disrupt that and disrupt Norwich's playoff push. It's got huge permutations for both sides. Hopefully, Norwich can be on the right side of it. I'm sure Kally will be supporting the other side, of course. And we'll see you in the next one. There we go. Kiss on the badge. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of Terrace Talk. I've got a journalist now joining me from the Ipswich Town perspective. Of course, the well-renowned Roscoe from the EADT. Ross, how are you this evening? I mean, I imagine based off of Monday's result, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think a lot of Town fans are on cloud nine. I'm very much like that too. What an evening at Portman Road. Everyone loves a late winner, but for how it came about and the atmosphere was incredible and sort of perfect result going into the derby this weekend. Yeah,
lots changed since we last met. Of course, you guys had a really positive start to the campaign. We were pretty poor at that point. Norwich have picked up a lot since then, now in the top 6. Ipswich, of course, top of the league. How are you feeling heading down to Carrow Road on Saturday?
Like any derby, form goes out the window, the cliche, and obviously our record is not great. I've actually never seen Ipswich Town win at Carrow Road, so I'm nervous. I'm nervous at any derby. Obviously, you're up for it. You're like, come on, then, you know what? But it's a derby at the end of the day. But obviously, you guys have improved from the last time we played, even though the points total is still a lot. It's still one of those one-off games. Anything can happen. But yeah, you're still a good side. Your home record as well frightens me as well. I think you haven't lost since like November. So Carrow Road is a fortress at the moment. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah, the season, of course, top of the league, as I mentioned. How special has it been to cover Ipswich in this season? I'd imagine, I think I've kind of yearned a little bit since I joined the job for a really positive season. It's kind of been the last few months where maybe I've had a little bit more enjoyment out of it, but you've had a whole season of it this season. So what have you made of it?
Yes, wasn't what we were expecting. When we got promoted last year, we thought, okay, I predicted 10th. I thought that was a good first season back in the second tier. I've been covering this team, since the 4 years in League One. So there were, not great years. And obviously last year was the only year we had positives. And this year, week by week, just doing the unthinkable. And I think I said on our podcast that I didn't think we could top our previous, memorable game. Like Monday topped all the other ones. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. A lot of very good results. Of course, we've lost games. We've lost twice against Leeds, and we seen late goals against Cardiff. But yeah, it's been a very good season, and Town fans are loving it, which I'm sure Norwich fans won't be happy about. But we have had some bad times, so we're just enjoying this at the moment. Continue enjoying the ride.
Yeah, before we turn the attention forward to the game, Kieran McKenna been nominated for the Championship Player of not player, even Manager of the Year. Or what am I getting into? I think the nerves are starting to kick in now, Ross. Yeah, what have you made of him and sort of the job he's done at Town so far? You know, I mean, when he arrived, you were sort of middling in League One, didn't look like you were sort of going anywhere. Of course, you've had kind of the investment and Mark Ashton's arrived and everything else around it, but it feels like a club that's pretty united. How do you rank the job he's done?
Unbelievable. He's been, once again, when he got appointed, everyone went, who? Obviously, they know what he was up to at Man United with the assistant, but it's always one of those. I think a lot of Town fans, and they were happy to admit, they're probably maybe a bit underwhelmed by it, maybe because as a young manager, obviously a lot of clubs are now going down that route, bringing in young players, or young managers. And yeah, he's just done one hell of a job. Just impressed by how he speaks. That's the first thing that straight away when you watch his interviews, they're just so. You get a lot out of it. You actually learn more about football every time you hear from Kieran McKenna, and obviously what he's brought as well. He's brought his own good coaching staff. He's brought in the right players, and it's just this team. It's just so special, and he's one of the main reasons because of that. And obviously he's got McKenna time at the moment. We're now, calling it because all the late winners and the late goals are scoring. The subs he makes as well, they always make a difference. And the stats everywhere. He's breaking records everywhere. He broke records in League One. He's breaking records in the Championship. And yeah, he can't do wrong, Kieran McKenna. And hopefully we keep him for as long as possible because obviously there'll be rumours lurking around, who will take him in the future. But he's ours for now.
Do you think you're going to reach the Premier League this summer, Ross? I mean, you've got 6 games to go. Automatic promotion, very much a possibility. Top of the league at the moment. Of course, 2 very fierce competitors, 2 sides that dropped out of the Premier League last summer in Leicester and Leeds. Of course, both know how to get out of this league. Got managers in place that hopefully, sort of trying to bring positive sort of football back to those clubs. Yeah, automatic promotion, or do you fear that it might be a playoff battle between potentially us and you?
Yes, that's a big question. That I think Town fans are wanting to dream, and why can't you? Because 6 games to go, we're top of the league. Southampton are very much out of that race now, and yes, it's us, Leicester, and Leeds, and that is just mad to think. When the first ball was kicked this season, we got a great win at Sunderland on the opening day, and you just never thought we'll be where we are. I think they can do it because how close this team is and how just so special that they're getting results out of nowhere. And this is probably the last big game left, the last big hurdle to get by. I'm not saying the other 5 games are going to be easy, but this is probably the next hurdle in terms of mind games and just it's just going to be such a massive game. Going back to your question, I think they can do it. I'm actually I'm putting it there. I'm saying it now. I think they can do it. And automatics, could be there in Town, back in the Premier League, but we shall see.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the games to come after. Of course, this game is the next one. How big does this derby kind of feel, maybe retrospect to those of the past? I think many Norwich fans feel it's probably the biggest one since kind of those playoff games in 2015. Of course, the last time, maybe from an Ipswich perspective, felt really big. It felt like your opportunity to maybe finally get the long-awaited victory over us. It didn't materialise, but this one, Norwich trying to push for top 6, Ipswich trying to push for automatics. Biggest one in a decade, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's those games were massive back then. I was actually back then as a fan. Obviously now it's my job now. Lucky enough to cover the team. But yeah, back then they were just massive games. Obviously they're going to be because they're playoff games. But these are 3 points on the line. They're not one-off games. This is a one-off game in terms of anything can happen. So yeah, it's massive. I think Town fans know that as well. They were going to Carrow Road. Obviously wanting to see that first win since 2009. I think the record is actually 2006, the last time Ipswich won at Carrow Road. So it's been even longer than the last win. So it's going to be massive, and I'm sure both sets of fans are going to bring the atmosphere, and it's going to be one hell of a game.
Yeah, what did you make of the reverse game? Of course, 2-2. Johnny Rowe was crucial for Norwich on that day. Town probably could have been 2 or 3 ahead if Broadhead would have brought his shooting boots on in the first half. Disappointed, maybe given kind of all the build-up and all the kind of atmosphere outside the stadium before the game. Felt like it was probably your chance and it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's typical Ipswich Town. Had all the great build up, the coach arrival, the scenes of that, and then obviously we dominated, that first half. And yeah, Nathan Broadhead, he's normally clinical, but he wasn't at that point. If he did score that one chance early on, I think we could have been 3 or 4 nil up in the first half. But no, obviously we did score, and then Johnny Rowe, fair play to him, got the 2 goals, and obviously, it was 2-2, and you just think it could have been one of those days where anything, that normally would happen at Portland Road. Obviously, there's always goals at Portland Road, and normally we will be, cheering at the win, but just one of those days. And of course, it had to be against the rivals where we just couldn't score. In the end, maybe it was the fair result in terms of just how you guys defended. And obviously, you boys celebrated the draw very much so, but yeah, of course, that continued that hoodoo for Town. We're not winning in the derby. But yeah, now going to Carrow Road, it will feel a bit different because, sort of pressure's off in terms of being at home. It's now at Carrow Road, and I think the players are, trying to block out all the noise. They're just going to go there and hopefully get the win.
Yeah, it certainly feels very different, this one. How different do you think it does feel? You come into Carrow Road, Norwich, unbeaten there since November, as you mentioned. I think the 7 straight wins now at home. Town, of course, pretty good on the road as they are at home, but feels like maybe this one's kind of a little bit more of a level playing field than the last time. Norwich kind of going to give you a little bit more of a game. How would you sort of feel? How do you feel heading down to Carrow Road? Do you think Ipswich have got enough to go and get the result?
I hope so, because it's been so long since they last won. But I feel it's a different Norwich team to who we played in December, because obviously you're, good, better position now. I feel like the mood is a bit better with David Wagner and everything. Obviously, you got Sargent back, although you haven't got Rowe, which obviously he was the big talking point in terms of him scoring the 2 goals. But it's not always about one player. It's, sometimes it could be a Derby Day hero. It's always, every game is a Derby Day hero. But yeah, I feel this is a bit different because you're playing a bit better, and you got Sargent up top, as I already mentioned. So yeah, I think it's going to be a cracking game. Maybe one of those Derby Day classics, which we'll be talking about in years to come. Hopefully for the good reasons for Town. Norwich fans won't be happy about that, but we shall see.
Yeah, before I get a score prediction, is there kind of a derby moment or a game that sticks out in your memory? I know kind of the last 15 years have maybe not been overly positive for Ipswich, but I'm sure down the years there must be a moment for you that kind of sticks out as that Derby Day kind of memory that you sort of bring forward, I suppose, heading into these sort of games.
Yeah, there would have been one a few years back if you didn't score a late equaliser. I won't go into that. I wanted to mention it because it was one of those days where you just think the perfect person to score the winner, and then there was an equaliser. Of course, Norwich fans will know Luke Chambers' goal, and then Close made it 1-1. But move from that, going back to sort of a fan. I went to a few Carrow Road games. As I said, I've never seen us win at Carrow Road, so there's not many good memories going to there. I think David Wright scored an equaliser to make it 1-1. I think back in 2007. But probably, there's not been many good memories, to be fair. 2009 is the last time we won. I was there when we won 3-2. That is probably the highlight. Jonas Knudsen scored not a late goal, he scored a goal in a 1-1 draw at Carrow Road, and just that scene sent that away and was great. And obviously you guys equalised anyway, but at least we were able to celebrate a goal where there's been a few bad memories, which I won't bring up, and I'm sure Norwich fans will know those bad memories, but they're good memories for you. But hopefully I'll be adding a good memory this weekend, but we shall see.
Yeah, we won't push you for those. Score prediction, Ross. How are you feeling? I mean, goals tends to be the case between these two. There's not very often you sort of get a boring game of football. Could you see it being a high-scoring goal affair, or who's going to get the better of this big game?
Yeah, it's Portland Road has been a goal fest for Town. Away from home, they just get professional performance. 1-0 wins, maybe 2-1 here and there. But it's a derby. Anything can happen. There could be loads of goals, free-flowing football. I was speaking to your colleague Paddy earlier, and he said it could be 3 different outcomes. And I was thinking, you know what, that could be the case. Obviously, I'm going to have to back Town to get the win, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a thrashing of any sort. There's only been a few thrashings in the derby days in recent years, and back in the 90s for Town as well. But it's going to be one of those days where anything can happen, and it could be a feisty one as well. It could be a red card. You never know because it's a derby game. But yeah, it's going to be one hell of a game. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm certainly feeling Norwich might just nick it on this occasion again, hopefully, from our perspective, to try and, of course, derail Ipswich's positive season. Ross, really do appreciate you joining me this evening. Of course, lots of great content coming your way across our channels as we head into the sort of final 24 hours maybe now of this build-up to Derby Day. I think Connor's just uploaded his lovely new podcast with 3 City legends, all who know what it takes to score in this game. Ewan Roberts, Darren Huckabee and Bradley Johnson. That's well worth a watch. David Wagner, we were down at Colney earlier on this afternoon. You can now watch his press comments live across our channel, so that's well worth checking out to get all the team news. Of course, no Johnny Rowe, bit of a blow, but I think Ipswich got a few injuries as well, so it's all going to level itself out before we head into the game. I think you've got Tactics Board coming your way with Sam in the morning as well, so there's lots of stuff to get your teeth into. The Pink and Plus app, of course, is the place to go as well. $2.99 a month usually, but we've got a special deal on at the moment: 3 months for £3 or £24 for an annual subscription. So what better time to take out a subscription ahead of what's going to be a huge East Anglian derby at Carrow Road on Saturday. Thanks for joining us.